Okay, we watched a video yesterday. We had a good talk about it. We worked on some of the issues that we have, as well as trying to get ready in a short term again for Nebraska, who is, when you watch them play, I'm not surprised at all at where they sit in the league right now. With 2 road wins with Maryland and Indiana, it's something that the best teams in this league have not been able to do. So they are over time. So they're really playing really well. Their backcourt is become with Webster, who was for a couple of years was trying to find himself. Now has become one of the premier guards in the league. And then Watson last year, just even in our win over them, he as a freshman you could see he's going to be a good one. What they've been able to do now is get a whole bunch of guys that nobody ever heard of besides those 2, crash the boards like crazy. Our offensive rebound, their offensive rebounding is at 13 a game, which is a high. They got Jacobson now. He's averaging 6 offensive rebounds a game in the Big Ten. So there's a real challenge there for us because they're going to come after us and get on the backboard. So we just got to forget about the other night. We had a 3-minute and 40-second span there that took us out of that game. As it turned out, took us out of the game, and then we got to forget about it and be resilient and bounce back.
Kevin? Coach, I know you said on the defensive side of the ball, I know you said last time, implementing something else is just putting the team back to square one. But is there any quick fix that you see for it? And if there is, at what point do you go to that?
If it was schematic, that's not the issue. It's the issue of guarding your man, right? And with the exception of, maybe you have other people guard people, but I mean, you have to guard your yard, and you got to get better at it. And that's not anything that you can change. We do try and give more help, but when we've been giving help on there, there's 3-point shooters just killing us. So I think to change some of our thought process, our team speed, and all those things are really hard to do because we're thinking very slow, and we don't have great speed. So you have to have great anticipation, and that seems to be slow right now.
Brandon?
You speak about matchups, man-to-man. What do you think is the best matchup for on Ty Webster?
Well, we got our 2 guards right now. They did not have a great defensive game the other day, and they're upset about it. We're upset about it, and so that between Muhammad and Derek, right? They got to find a way to guard him. He's become an elite guard. He's played, basketball all over the world for years, and he's seen everything. So, I would assume everybody would, if we're in what we call a 30 switch, it means that our 3 perimeters they're picking a guy to guard, and I'm not going to tell you who's going to guard coming out, but I think in transition, whatever, Zach, Muhammad, Derek will all take turns on him. And how we play ball screens, we're going to see how we do it on video today, because they're leading. I think the 4 main ball screen teams in the league, are Maryland, ourselves, Illinois, and these guys. So we're going to see a lot of it.
Chris?
You guys started 1-6 in the Big Ten and turned things around. Was there anything similar that you can take from this, and what did it finally take to get that team over the hump? And do you think that's possible?
There was a moment in that game where we couldn't do anything right, and I will always remember the game at Northwestern where we were down by like 30, and it was 2 minutes to go, and they had the ball in the corner with 3 seconds to go on the shot clock, and Jordan Morgan and Darius Morris both went to guard the corner, and they threw it to the opposite corner, and they got a layup, and it was probably as low as we've ever been. We're down by 30. We give a guy a layup. So there are moments like that you have, and when they were just scoring at will in that second half, or they scored at the end of the first half, it felt a little bit like this. Wow, we got a lot of work to do.
And what did it take for that team, and is it possible for this team?
Everything's possible. I mean, you look at the way we've lost these games. I mean, we could be 3-1. Yeah, we could be 0-4. The Illinois game was certainly one that we weren't at our best no matter what. But we could be either way, of course. But it's going to take us to be able to continue to get better defensively, and offensively we've got to find other ways to score as well, because each game's a challenge.
We're here with Brandon.
Hey, Coach. Against Illinois, it looked like
I mean, you said it wasn't a brace game for Mo and DJ. In terms of maybe your options down the post, where's kind of John Teskey in that? His size alone offers something completely different than the other two.
Yeah, I think he's got, we obviously think he's got great potential, and his workouts at our, we had the All-Star Day yesterday. He did a good job there, he did a great job on the day of the game. But right now, we don't see he's a better option right now to score. Are you talking about scoring inside?
Just like defense as well.
Yeah, he gives us a little bit more length. Yesterday, in that particular game, I mean, they had the 3 post-up plays, but they beat us more than the 17-foot mark of just shooting it in. Black did it, and so did Morgan. They had the 2 hooks, the 3 hooks early, and that was the extent of their inside game. So that held them 6 points. What they killed us was with just drive and kick little 16-footers for their big guys. And John's not going to make a difference in that.
Mark? John. Mohammed looked like he was being aggressive there in the first half, going to the basket and everything. Was that them not respecting him, and then that changed and they guarded him differently, or did he back off and not?
No, I mean, he ended up getting to the rim in the first half a couple of times, went really hard. At the end of the first half, where we went through that funk, he penetrated in that zone, took a really tough shot when X was open. No, I don't think there was any adjustment there. I mean, like I said, I don't think the offense again was the issue. We scored 1 point per possession. We were okay. If we just hold them to 48%, we might be able to win that game. They hit some tough shots. But it was.
Well, I'm saying him in particular, though. What happened? Why didn't the second half he keep going to the basket? Did they take that away?
I do not recall the flow of the game. Maybe, there's some of those things we just don't coach. Hey, you take it to the basket. I mean, perhaps he didn't feel it. Perhaps they didn't give him the same angles. I don't think they took anything away other than maybe just didn't have those opportunities present themselves.
The other thing, you pulled Zach after that foul and put in Ibby, who hadn't played in a while. I mean, it looks like that's a message to Zach. Is that?
It wasn't. No, it wasn't. It was about, we were down 17 points or something at that time with 4 minutes to go. As we got a game in less than 72 hours, we're not going to get this done. We don't need an injury right now.
Andrew?
Coach, I know you said that Coach Donlin had been talking more in practice earlier in the year.
Mm-hmm.
So it's 2 things. Is that still the case? And
Oh,
then
yeah.
just for first-year coach assistants in general, is there any sort of reluctance to call players out or kind of give, you've had wave of assistants here
Yeah.
during your time. I mean,
No, I think there's a good mix of guys hitting and hugging is the wrong word, letting that be demanding and then giving them a big hug as well through all those things. So they are, it's the exact same scenario as it was at the beginning of the year. That Billy has done a lot to really assist us, even though it doesn't look like it, in some occasions. Maybe we have to think a little bit more, and that's been some delay, but in the long run, we hope it all works out.
John, you joked about the sun coming up. Do you feel like you need to remind this team of that at times in this part of the year?
Yeah, I think
and
that.
also the fans.
Absolutely. It is, you have these points in a season, and we've had them virtually every season. And most seasons we're able to bounce back from it, where you get these low points in the season where nothing seems to go right. And, I think it's a lot of teams in this league are going to have this issue. Some of you guys have been here longer than me. And I don't think you've ever seen, 14 teams that can beat any one of those teams any night. I mean, it was 11 when I got here, and maybe 6 could do it. And now it's seriously 14. If you watch the Rutgers game last night, I mean, they were right there the entire time. So it is, or was it 2 nights ago? I don't know. But it's just, that's what it is. So I think everybody's going to have these times. And if you just stay the course, you stay persistent, you try to stay as positive you can while you're still instructing and demanding certain values in the game. You just let the process work itself out. And that's what we're doing. I mean, that's what we're doing every day. There's no quick fix right now. There's no quick fix except just persistence.
Brendan?
To build on that, with every team does have the, that kind of 2-week span or whatever,
Yeah.
where nothing seems like it can go
Yeah.
right. And you did have it a few years ago when you started 1-6, but, when it happens early in league play, keeping these
Yeah.
guys still believing that
Yeah.
with this group, what do you think is the key to making that possible?
I think just one win would make a huge difference right now. And the fact where we came back a bit to Penn State, and you know what we did? We had a great offensive game against Maryland. I mean, we scored a lot of points on a really good defensive team. To score 70 on them and missed some foul shots, to score 70 on them was a good game. But they made some really tough shots. And, it all of a sudden, it was like you're only as good as your last game forever. And when your last game, I mean, this is the first time we've lost 2 in a row, and it just, doubles the agony of it. And we got to continue to fight through and say, this happens to NBA teams, it happens to NFL teams, it happens to the best college teams. And those, if the frustration is actually the way, if you see it and you recognize it and you can, get better from it, then you're going to find your answers.
Anybody have anything else?
Okay, thanks, everyone.